Well, hello. Thanks for watching again. Bren, John here, obviously. We are here to tell you and update you on what we believe God is commanding of us or asking of us, or what we believe He's leading us to do for the foreseeable future. A couple things we wanted to talk to you about in this is why we've made the decisions we've made going back all the way to March originally. There's been a lot of prayer and a lot of discussion and a lot of disagreement and a lot of working through that, just as even as pastors as we go. But a couple of the questions that have kind of been at the root of everything we've been doing the whole time is how do we honor God most in our decisions? How do we honor God in caring for those that are immune compromised or are susceptible potentially to the danger of this sickness? And how do we care for our governing officials that God has put in place? And how do we show what submission to them looks like? And then also, how do we as the church, not just Rev 22, but how do we as the church be unified with the church in the valley? And that's been the questions that's kind of been at the forefront of our conversations along the way, where we spent a lot of time with a lot of churches, spent a lot of time with a lot of people, we spent a lot of time with a lot of you asking questions, kind of prayerfully working through it, hopefully helping make decisions along the way. Because of the fact that we don't really see at this moment the Lord removing COVID-19 and the issues that come around phases and all those other things, we wanted to, as pastors, really prayerfully make a decision that we think we could just kind of do for the time being, that would be both aware of the fact what the health officials and others are kind of recommending and why they're asking stuff, but then also aware of what God wants for us as a church and how we are supposed to be moving there. So we've really tried to thread a needle that I don't even think exists, or a line that we have no idea where it is necessarily, but that's kind of been at the forefront of these decisions. When we've been going forward, we're not flippantly trying to make this a partisan decision. We aren't trying to make this a popular vote decision. We have been trying to honor God, all the while knowing that even when we do that, potentially we've made mistakes, potentially that people have been hurt by this. It's never been our desire to hurt or to make one person seem more heard or over the others. We're just trying to walk with this. And
it's really hard, just so you know, to make these decisions. It's really hard.
Super, super difficult. So we believe that we are to honor our governing authorities. We do believe that there is a lot of information out about what is going on around this pandemic, and it is really hard to sift through what is not bent towards a leaning one way or the other, and what is being science that's on both ends. And so we're just trying to honor this system. We know as a church that two things are required of us. We are to continue to gather, and that may look differently than the way that we have done it in the past, but we are never to forsake that. We are to still push into community, to still be in gospel community, still be in each other's lives, still be doing that. And we also know that we are representing Christ on this earth. And so we are to be salt and light. So the way that we move forward as a church, we want it to be a witness to those outside of the church, not because we're afraid of what they may think of us, but because we're trying to win them as our brothers and sisters that have not come home yet to be co-heirs with Christ. And so that's kind of what our decision's been going. That's kind of what we're doing and how we've been going. There's a lot more in that, and I would encourage you, if you want to, you can talk to John, myself, Danny, or Brian. Any moment you can reach out to us and say, hey, help me understand more of this process. Or if you find yourself leaning one way or the other, not just politically, but just in what you believe about this, and you're like, I want to understand more because I feel like this hasn't been heard, reach out to us. Do it.
And our goal is not to be on the same page with what we agree with the COVID-19 even. That's not the goal. The goal is, what do we do together as a body of Christ, no matter where we stand on that discussion, to still move forward in unity with the body of Christ.
Yeah, we continue to be talking about God is not divided. Christ is not divided. So we have to find ways to not divide. I want to thank all of you that reached out to us over the last week that watched this. It's been really, really powerful and encouraging to know that we've been prayed for. And when people are texting us and emailing us and calling us and saying, hey, I want you to know I'm praying for you. That I believe that, and I believe there's power in prayer, and I have fully felt those prayers. And I think John and the other pastors have as well, Brian and Danny as well. And so thank you for that. So what are we doing, John? Because people are like, come on, this cliffhanger. Right? Yeah, got it.
So some exciting news for you guys, for all of you who are watching this. So for the foreseeable future, and this is important because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, okay? But what we want to commit to is having a system in place, a progress in place, so that we can still do these things as a value of gathering together, no matter what happens around us. Hopefully, this will not change for a while. Okay, that's the plan.
But
right?
we will get
don't
on
know.
video to
Yes.
tell you if it does. So don't worry.
So the first thing is we want to let you know that we will be starting to have services here. Okay, we'll have 2 services outside in the parking lot, just like this way. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm bad with directions,
Yeah,
so
it's okay.
I guess it's this way. So just like last week, we'll have 2 services outside of the parking lot, 7:45 a.m. in the morning.
Ooh, that's early.
right?
That's early. We'll talk
And
about
9
that in a
a.m.,
bit.
Okay, so 2 services, 7:45 and 9 a.m. outside, and if you're not in the gospel community, and the beautiful thing last Sunday was that people who came to our church, most of you are people who don't go to our church regularly, who haven't been plugged into a gospel community. So you're invited to join us. And what we will be doing is we are right now going through a process of kind of going through all our gospel communities, and we're going to randomize this sequence, okay? And a lot of spreadsheets involved, just so you know. And we are going to invite 2 gospel communities per service to be a part of these services. So 2 at 7:45 and 2 at 9 a.m. So you'll be invited to come and join us, okay? And just so you know, we will not have kids classes. We will not have security. We'll not have ushers or greeters. And just so you know, if you are serving, if you've served in the past as a usher or a greeter, right? Please join us in just serving while you're there, okay? If you're on the prayer team, just join us in praying for people while you're there for that service. And we request that you don't attend more than one service, for the sake of just keeping those numbers, in check a little bit.
Yeah, about that. One of
Yeah.
the reasons why, so right, wait a minute, gospel communities. So yes, we have 14 gospel communities. We are going to be inviting 2 gospel communities per service to show up, and we're going to ask that the rest of the gospel communities don't come that Sunday. We have 14 gospel communities. We figure about every 3 weeks we'll be able to get gospel communities in. So the reason for that, and the reason for it being outside, is we're trying to control the density. We're trying to honor the fact that there is been some science proven that outdoor air quality helps and some distance helps. And so we're trying to do that so that those that maybe don't feel comfortable being around people or yet are still struggling with that can also take part in this. And again, it also allows us to be a witness to our community, that we're not just moving forward saying, who cares about all this? We're gonna try and do this in a healthy way.
Having said that, masks are not required, but they are recommended.
Yeah, and we talked about that in our last video. So if you want to do that, or if you want to talk about that with us, again, we have no problem with that. So
yeah, and one more thing to kind of add to it is since we don't have kids classes, we request that you keep your kids with you.
Yeah.
Because we're close to a main road on both sides, so we want you to be aware of where your kids are and stay close with them.
Yeah,
Okay?
we're trying to honor that again, that distance that seems so hard because as believers we're meant to be together, but we're really trying to honor that, and I know that can be a little bit difficult sometimes with kids. I have kids as well, and my kids are all perfectly obedient and never do anything wrong. No, that's not the case. It's going to be hard to do that in some ways, and so we acknowledge that. So we're going to ask that you be patient with one another, but that we don't just ignore that is a reality for us.
Yeah.
There are some questions that come out of this, right?
Yeah. So what if I asked you, what if I said, hey, I'm not in a gospel community, how do I plug in?
I'm glad you asked that question, John. One of the things that we're trying to do, and we even were able to do it this last week, is our desire has been and will always be as a church. We believe in the gathering as a church, and we believe fully in the small gatherings. And so if you are not in a gospel community, come be a part of this. But just know that we are going to be pushing hard for you to get into community, because we have seen how people have thrived through this distance time as they've still been able to stay connected in these communities. And we've seen some really amazing things happen in the communities of this time. So if you're not in a gospel community, that's why we're doing services here. You can come, that's great. We encourage you, if you are a gospel community and you're coming to service that week, invite your friends, invite your neighbors that you've met over this last few months of working from home. Like, bring them with you. That's great. We want to share the gospel with them as well. What if we're still not comfortable coming?
That's okay. Okay, we want you to list. We'll have our online service available. Okay. So the 9 a.m. service most likely will be the one that's going to be the live stream service. So you can still watch the video, the whole service from your home. Now, having said that, we want to push towards a little bit of you thinking about what's the motivation behind you not being comfortable. Mm-hmm. If there's a lot of fear, as we mentioned in the previous video, pray about it and ask yourself, where is this fear coming from? Okay, and we want to pray, we want to talk to you. So don't live in fear. But if you don't want to come, that's fine. You can be in your home and watch the video online.
But if you don't want to come and you aren't in a gospel community, please reach out to us. We'd love to get you connected to a gospel community that you could at least potentially join in a Zoom or outdoors at their houses and smaller venues as well. Along that, along that same line, you mentioned this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
What about the people that are just missing serving, the worship
Yeah.
team and the ushers and the kids ministry and all those things?
Yeah.
Like what?
I would recommend if you are serving a lot in the worship team, and if you're in the kids ministry or an usher or greeter, let us know if you are willing to serve. It may not look the way it was before because things have changed a little bit. So if you want to serve, let us know. And it may not be the same thing that you did before, but we have needs that have to get done. So if you're willing to serve, please reach out to us, and we'll definitely make use of that.
Yeah. Another question we thought of is that if you're out of town, if you're a gospel community, it's like, hey, 4th of July, your gospel community was randomly picked, and you're like, I was camping. We are fully aware that the way that we're doing this is not going to work for everyone. It is not ideal for everyone. It is not in any way the best for everyone. We are just striving to do what we believe we can do within the resources we have with God leading us. And so I'm sad if you miss it. I understand that, especially as you want to gather. And we don't want you to think that we're not aware of that. But we're trying to do this the best we can to try and lead all people that God has entrusted to us. We have to give an account for how we're leading people through this time. And so this is us really taking that seriously and trying to figure out how to do that. What if you're just... I would say college students, but I'm not going to pick on the college students. What if you're some of those people that have gotten really comfortable from not having to get out of bed and going to work, and 7:45 is just too early, John? It's just too early. What do you do about that? What do you say to that?
Buy an alarm clock, man.
Oh man, that's harsh. No, we understand it's early. One of the other reasons why we did early is for something we're going to tell you in just a second, another cliffhanger, but also it's hot in the summer. And so by getting out in the parking lot, we do have shade where we're going to be, but like we were trying to...
I wear a hoodie all the time.
So he sweats either way. So what if my kids find it hard to stay focused during the service? This is another tough one.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of people kind of making communities in this season to say, hey, I cannot take my kids to church on a Sunday morning because my kids need attention, and I cannot manage them alone. And I've seen
or I want to honor people by not having my kids running around and licking their coffee cups, So
I've seen families get together and say, "Hey, I can be with your family. Let's watch this video too. Let's watch the teaching together, right?" So I've seen that happen in communities. So I would recommend if you're someone who is saying, "Hey, I would love to be in a community that's kind of contained but not out there in the parking lot by a busy street," reach out to us. Okay, we'll see how we can make that work, so we can have people who can support you and be with you on Sunday morning, maybe in your home or maybe in someone else's house with your kids where they are safe, and you can watch the video together.
Yeah, and then in light of kids, we have another solution for kids.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That was a really bad transition to the next step.
We have
one
more thing. This is kind of I think the best part of this video.
I think we're most excited about this.
Yeah.
Not to minimize what we're doing before this, but we're actually going to have
awesome.
a third service every single week.
No drum roll. The drummer is not
here.
So.
We don't. Drums probably get too much dust on them anyways. Our drummers have probably forgotten how to play drums because it's been so long. Just kidding. Sorry, drummers. We are going to do a third service every week. So there are 2 services here. That does not change anything we just said. We're going to do the 2 services here. We're going to be inviting 2 gospel communities every week to each service of those. And then our third service is going to be to a 5th gospel community. And what we're going to do is whoever's teaching,
this guy.
Most of the time, if I'm teaching, and if you're leading worship, then what we would do is after the 9 o'clock service, we'd close up shop here. We'd come out to your gospel community to do a 10:30 service.
And you get to invite your neighbors, your friends, who you got to love, and have this journey of COVID-19 together. Bring them over.
Yep. And we've been calling you, and Whitney's been reaching out to you, to the gospel community, so you're aware of this already. But we're going to come to every gospel community. Our desire is to do, not to stand up and just perform a message. It'll probably be a
perform a message. Okay, I know that.
That's
works.
That's how I play guitar. That's my message. Yeah, exactly. But it's not to just perform music for you or do those things. If you have instruments and musicians in your group, we're going to say join us. Yeah. I will strive to take the message and still preach the whole message, but we'll do it in a conversational way. And we're really excited about this. And so what we're going to ask gospel communities to do, if you're not one of the 4 for the Sunday that you're on, still meet at 10:30 as a gospel community, whether that's in your backyard, if that's has been comfortable, or how you've been meeting and you've been pulling a few families in over Zoom like some of you have been doing. We're going to ask that you do that. And the reason why I made the transition for kids is because we're going to do one more thing.
The drum roll.
Yeah, we're going to do one more thing. Shelby and Sarah are working to get a position of people and teams, either themselves or individually, that they would come with us. And so the plan would be that we would show up at 10:30 to your gospel community. We'd all do worship together, and then Shelby and or Sarah, or potentially another kids ministry volunteer, would then take, because they've been every week doing the lessons, they've been putting videos out every week for you to still take your kids through this, but they would take your kids aside and they would teach them a specific kids ministry lessons, age-specific lesson, which we're really excited about because it gives your kids a chance to get something. My kids have missed that. They enjoy Jen and I talking about it, but it's more fun for some of the other.
Yeah, and so if you are someone who wants to be a part of the team, to travel to homes on Sunday morning to be a part with kids, teaching them the truth and maybe singing with them, let us know. Let Sarah and Shelby know.
Yeah, and we're not going to bring a whole band. We're not bringing a bunch of extra people to your house. We've been talking to the gospel communities. If you are in a gospel community, like, I'm not comfortable with that, and your leader potentially doesn't know that, please share that with them and let us have a conversation. But so that's what's going to happen. So it's going to be a 7:45, a 9 here, 2 gospel communities invited to both, and then anyone who's not a part of gospel communities to coming to those outside. No kids classes. Wear masks if you can. If you're willing, it's okay if you don't. We're not going to shame each other. We talked about that last week. Keep the distance.
Yes.
And then a 10:30 service.
Third service at 10:30.
10:30 service that will have a kids class and will be us at your house.
And an online service too.
And then the service will always be online, starting at 9. If you are a gospel community not coming, we're going to ask that you try and find that rhythm of meeting at 10:30 to do service together, so that when we are coming, it's not something random you're having to do for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's it. It was shorter than last time, but only a few minutes.
Not much, but
thank
it's
you.
okay. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. I guess I will leave you with this. We love you. We love the Lord, and we love that He is building His church in this time. We recognize and acknowledge that there is so much loss happening right now. And we want to pray for you. We are praying for you. We want to walk with you. We are walking with some of you. Thank you for that invitation. But please know this. Please know this. God is faithful. God is good. And you will look back this. If you are a child of God, you will look back at this time and you will see all the ways that His steadfast love endured. You'll see all the ways that His faith has taken us. You'll see all the ways that He grew you and brought about something that is more beautiful and more powerful than even gold. And so we love you guys. We thank you for this time. We're praying for you. We look forward to seeing more of you. If you are in any way of need, I know there have been a lot of people that have lost jobs and other things. Please reach out to us. We've also had families that have said, hey, I want to help. I've got resources. I want to help people. So if that's something that you need too, again, whatever it may be, we want to be here for you. All 4 of us pastors, Danny, Brian, John, and myself, are here for you. We're here to serve you, to love you, to point you to Jesus. And we're excited to be doing life with you. God bless you guys.
God bless you guys.
Thanks.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.